Santos, and I want to continue producing content that will help people who have loved ones in prison if they want to bring them home to home confinement. Now, on the Bureau of Prisons website, bop.gov, the director has published a video introducing himself and making a commitment to being more transparent. Have a listen to his welcoming message.
I thank each of you for your continued dedication of completing our mission and your outstanding efforts to mitigate the spread of COVID in our institutions and our communities. I intend to do a weekly video message to update everyone on what we are doing and why. I will discuss hot topics and attempt to dispel any rumors and false information that may be spread either in our facilities or due to misrepresentations of BOP operations in the public.
A lot of family members would really welcome this message of transparency and this commitment to truth that the director is talking about. My experience in the Bureau of Prisons, and I was incarcerated for 26 years, is that the Bureau of Prisons isn't always so forthcoming or so helpful to family members. Nevertheless, let's take the director at his word and say that the Bureau of Prisons truly is changing or truly is going to make this commitment to helping people understand the agency's commitment to transparency and truth during this COVID-19 pandemic. And one of the things that is really encouraging is the Attorney General's memorandum, which puts a mandate on the director to transfer more people to home confinement. Now let's listen to what the director says about his commitment to moving more people to home confinement.
Directly in response to COVID-19 pandemic, additional authorities granted to the BOP have allowed us to increase home confinement by over 40%. We're continuing to aggressively screen all inmates who have COVID-19 risk factors, as described by the CDC, starting with inmates at Oakdale, Danbury, Elkton, and similarly situated facilities. Case management staff are urgently reviewing all inmates to determine which ones meet the criteria established by the Attorney General. Since Attorney General Barr's March 26 memo instructing us to prioritize home confinement as an appropriate response to the COVID pandemic, the BOP has placed an additional 886 inmates on home confinement.
So I want to share the screen, and you can see that although the director says that they're moving a lot of people to home confinement, that isn't the message that we're receiving from people in prison. Here's a Core Links message. I'm going to block out the name from the individual, but here's the message. Hey, Michael, I hope you are safe and doing well. It is beyond brutal here. They claim here that even though the Attorney General Barr gave the directive, they do not have any real guidance, which makes no sense at all. I have already put in a request to the warden to move to home confinement, and it was denied. So I'm going to take the next step now, but not sure where it will go since the courts are on a slight schedule. I would say that that's more of what I expected when I was in prison, is that there are messages that come from the government that indicate they want to help people, but then there are obstacles and obstructions inside of the Bureau of Prisons. And so the way you have to get around that is to put the Bureau of Prisons to some pain, some test of pain, to make them feel that it's easier to give relief to you than it is to block you. And so, I'm getting the same message here from this individual. Again, I'm blocking their name out to protect them against retaliation, but it just says, thanks for answering the questions. I appreciate this time. They told us a bunch of people might be leaving, but like you said, I wouldn't trust the BOP. Here it says, I put in a cop-out last week. It was notified that I qualify, but I'll have to wait for my case manager. Here, this person is really taking action, and he has went forward and filed the motion. And of course, I provided samples of what a motion should look like. It's rather an extensive piece of work, but in order to make these things happen, you have to understand the stakeholders, who they are, what they're doing, and frequently the Bureau of Prisons, or at least my experience of going as somebody who went through prison for 9,500 days, which is 26 years, they always told me, we don't care anything about your life. All we care about is security of the institution. And if you look at the director's message, that's effectively what he's talking about. He's talking about the institution. Although he mentions home confinement here, he recognizes his mandate is to keep people confined. As a family member, your mandate is to do everything possible to bring your loved one home. And to do that, you have to be thinking about the stakeholders here. And the stakeholder here is the Bureau of Prisons, but it's also the federal court. And the federal court has a responsibility and a duty to make sure that if your loved one is confined, he is being confined or she is being confined in a constitutionally acceptable manner, which is not violating a person's rights to avoid cruel and unusual punishment. And of course, many people would consider it cruel and unusual punishment to confine somebody into an environment where they can't protect themselves because staff members are introducing a virus, this COVID-19 virus, and people are dying. So my recommendation is, although the director states that they're doing everything that they can, and although the BOP's website states that that the Bureau of Prisons, that a person in prison doesn't need to file anything, they can just rely on what's happening, my recommendation is file something in court so a judge can review it. A person has the right to file in court, and that way the next step would be the Bureau of Prisons attorney would have to respond. And I think that sometimes this motto of the squeaky wheel gets the grease, rather than an attorney responding and the court directing people to come home, if a person is filed, that person's going to move to the top of the list. That was the strategy that I used, of always bringing attention to why I am worthy of relief. And that's the message that you have to give to your loved one if you're going to advocate on their behalf. Certainly our tools on the COVID-19 tab at Prison Professors provides those tools that shows you how to do it. If you don't want to do the work yourself, you could always hire an attorney, or you can speak with a member of our team who's more than willing to help you prepare the appropriate documentation to get this process started. It's just work. You should expect to spend, or we would expect to spend, about 20 hours putting a project like this together. If you are going to do it and you don't have experience, maybe it's going to take you 30 or 40 hours. You have to read a little bit more, but you have to get it done if you want to do everything within your power to transition your loved one from prison to home confinement. Or you can take the director at his word and believe it's just going to happen. That just wasn't my experience.